Chapter 1. Luna Morgan. Ethan Smith brought a girl home, and rumor had it he was completely infatuated with her. In all our years of marriage, he'd had many women on the side, but this was the first time he'd ever brought one home. Everyone in our social circle was waiting, not so subtly, to see me, the official Mrs. Smith, made a fool of. But honestly, I couldn't care less. My indifference, however, seemed to infuriate him. He grabbed me by the neck, his grip vicious. While I struggled on the outside, my heart was a desolate, quiet plain, because I was dying. I'd been married to Ethan for 5 years. In those 5 years, he constantly had different women in his life, but none ever lasted more than a month. This new girl was named Luna Morgan. She was a young, beautiful university student with a pure and innocent look that was exactly his type. She was also the only woman who had stayed by his side for more than 3 months. Everyone was speculating that I, the legitimate wife, was finally about to be cast aside. Even my closest friends warned me to be careful. When I heard the news, I was at the hospital for a checkup. The doctor was reviewing my report while I sat on the chair, feeling a chill as a dull ache throbbed in my stomach. I listened to the doctor's advice and just shook my head, saying nothing. He tried to persuade me further, but ended with a helpless sigh. Clutching my medical records and a bag of prescriptions, I walked out of the hospital. The sun shone on my body, but I felt no warmth. I pulled my coat tighter and was about to head home when my phone rang with that familiar tone. "Where are you?" It was Ethan. I didn't answer. My silence only made him more agitated. "If you still want your allowance, get to my office now." With that, he hung up. Right. Ethan had always believed I married him for his money. When we got married, we made it clear. He wanted a wife to show off, and I wanted his money. So, really, what right did I have to be sentimental? I had enjoyed the life of a wealthy socialite for years. Only sometimes, in the dead of night, the memory of a shy, sweet boy would surface, only to blur and fade away again. Chapter 2. The money. I took a cab to Ethan's company. No matter what, I needed the money. Since I was dying anyway, I might as well die comfortably. I arrived at the company and took the elevator straight to his office. As luck would have it, he was in a meeting, so I settled in to wait. Just then, a young woman knocked and entered. It was my first time meeting Luna Morgan. She was surprised to see me, but quickly recovered with a shy smile. "Mrs. Smith, is Mr. Smith still in his meeting? I hope you haven't been waiting long." Her tone was a thinly veiled attempt to show off her intimacy with Ethan. I looked her up and down. Young, beautiful, she looked a lot like someone I used to be. I ignored her comment. Her expression turned awkward and hurt. "Let me get you a cup of tea, Mrs. Smith." I watched her quietly. She looked at me timidly, then, as if summoning all her courage, she said, "Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith, he's been so good to me. I'm grateful to him and I truly respect you. You've been married for so long, yet Mr. Smith still sees other women. Mrs. Smith in love, the one who isn't loved is the real other woman." I listened with a detached amusement to her accusations and disdain. "And," I cut her off, "you want me to let Ethan go? To what? Make way for you?" I let out a short, sharp laugh. Luna's eyes flickered. Suddenly, her hand trembled and she knocked over the teacup with a small shriek. At that exact moment, Ethan pushed the door open. "Serena, what are you doing?" Luna's eyes reddened on cue as she leaned weakly against Ethan. "Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith didn't mean to. It was my fault. I was careless." Watching this scene, I felt a wave of irony wash over me. My face remained impassive. I had no interest in watching their performance and was too tired to say anything. I just wanted to leave. "SHH, it's okay. Let me see if you're hurt," Ethan said, his voice full of concern as he gently comforted Luna. Then he turned to me, his eyes like ice. "Serena, you've gone too far this time. Your arrogance is out of control." I stood up, not bothering to explain. "If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Remember to wire the money." Ethan's gaze grew even colder. "Stop, you want money? Then drop that proud attitude of yours and apologize to Luna." "It's okay, Mr. Smith. Please don't be like this with Mrs. Smith," Luna sobbed quietly. I looked at the two of them clinging to each other with a mocking smile. It was as if I was the great villain in their love story. I couldn't be bothered with them. I turned to leave. The money, I didn't want it anymore. What was the difference between living a couple more days or a couple less? A sudden curiosity struck me. Ethan, what would you do if you knew I was dying? Chapter 3. The dream I took a cab home alone. A sharp pain flared in my stomach again. I had no appetite. I curled up under the covers, my head feeling heavy and dull. In a haze, I had a dream. Or maybe it wasn't a dream, but a memory that surfaced from a long, long time ago. I was 20 that year at the same university as Ethan. He didn't come from a wealthy family. Everything he has now, he built himself. Back then, we were both poor, but he always did everything he could for me, surprising me with little gifts. The Ethan from back then loved me so much. And I loved him just as much. For instance, I loved candy, so his pockets were always full of it for me. He was always cold and distant with others, but with me, he was shy and blushed easily. I couldn't resist teasing him. For my birthday, he secretly took on several extra part-time jobs just to buy me a big, elaborate cake. As I dreamed, a smile touched my lips, but tears seeped from the corners of my eyes. Through the fog, I heard a familiar ringtone. I answered the phone, not quite catching what the person on the other end was saying. But the familiar voice made a wave of grief wash over me. My voice trembled. Ethan, I want some candy. I had wanted to complain, to tell him I was in so much pain, but I decided against it. Perhaps it was just a surge of emotion. I hung up after I spoke and drifted back into a hazy sleep. Chapter 4. The truce when I woke up again, it was the middle of the night. Having eaten almost nothing all day, my stomach was in agony. I got up, wanting to get some hot water and take my medication. I didn't expect to see Ethan in the living room when I came downstairs. Ever since he started keeping Luna, he had bought her an apartment and often stayed there with her. It felt like a long time since he'd been home. The lights were off. He was just sitting there, staring blankly at a jar of caramels on the table. They were my favorite kind. He noticed me coming down the stairs. He walked over, gently took my hand, and pulled me into an embrace. "Why are you awake?" His voice was so gentle it momentarily blurred the lines between past and present. But I quickly snapped back to reality and pushed him away. "What are you doing back here?" I glanced at the jar of candy, wondering what kind of madness had possessed Ethan in the middle of the night. Or was he trying to make peace? Too bad I didn't need it anymore. You weren't there when I needed you most. From now on, I won't expect anything from you ever again. Ethan's expression slowly turned cold. I met his gaze without fear and reached out, sweeping the jar of candy off the table. He grabbed my wrist and slammed me against the wall, his eyes burning with fury. "Serena, what is the meaning of this? Are you fucking with me?" "That's right, I am. And what about you? Aren't you just as pathetic?" Ethan gritted his teeth, dragged me into the bedroom, and threw me onto the bed, pinning me down. "Serena, damn it, would it kill you to soften up just once in all these years?" I struggled desperately, and in the chaos, I slapped him across the face. Ethan froze as if the shock had sobered him. Just then, his phone rang. He paused, then answered it right in front of me. Because he was so close, I could clearly hear Luna's voice on the other end. She was crying, complaining to Ethan. "Mr. Smith, I feel so awful right now. Can you come be with me?" I stared at him, and he stared back at me. Suddenly, he spoke. "Serena, if you tell me to stay right now, I won't go." I turned my head away, fighting back tears, and said nothing. Ethan watched me in silence for a moment, then laughed, a self-deprecating sound. "Fine," he said into the phone. He got up, left the room, and walked out of our home. Chapter 5. A cliche story, a sudden, overwhelming exhaustion washed over me. The pain in my stomach grew sharper. There was a time when I had begged Ethan, too. I had said, "Ethan, please, just believe me. Ethan, please, just let me explain. Ethan, can we please just sit down and talk this through?" But he hadn't listened to a single word. The truth was rather mundane, a bit of a cliche, really. That year, my mom, Elena, got very sick. She was in a coma for several days. The day she woke up, she called me to her bedside and stroked my head with a kind hand. "I know Ethan is a good boy, a sincere one," she said. "I've watched you two together since high school. He's never treated you poorly. He gives you whatever he has. I was worried back then that your relationship might affect your studies, but one day, that boy came to me in secret. He promised he would study hard with you, get you both into a good university, and told me not to worry. And he did it. I was so relieved. I felt my daughter had found someone wonderful, and I could finally be at peace. I know his character. He would never abandon me, but my dear, we can't be selfish." That same year, Ethan's grandmother passed away. He was overwhelmed, and every time I saw him, I could feel his exhaustion. His family life was a mess, too. Mom said we couldn't be a burden. Ethan was still young. He couldn't afford to take on our problems. I sobbed at her bedside. I didn't want to let him go, but I couldn't bear to see him worn down by my family's troubles. At the time, I just thought we would be apart for a little while, but he seemed to have misunderstood. And then, other things happened. All this time later, the cause and effect no longer mattered. The score had been tallied so many times it was impossible to tell who owed whom. All those beautiful memories felt like they belonged to a past life. Now my time was running out. Ethan never knew when my stomach problems started, nor how they progressed to stomach cancer. It all seems absurd now, but I don't care anymore. I've lived these extra few years. It's enough. Chapter 6. Memories I really am regressing. It's probably like they say, your life flashes before your eyes before you die. In my life, the first decade or so, my mom was by my side through everything. Then I met Ethan, and from that day on, he became my pillar. Do I regret it? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I had been honest back then, if I hadn't chosen to leave Ethan, would the story have ended on such a desolate note? But when I really think about it, the people in the story have long since changed. It's no surprise we've ended up here. Even if I was the one who wronged Ethan in the very beginning, his betrayals over these past years were real. I wasn't always stubbornly holding on to my pride. For the first year or two, I tried to explain, carefully. I even tried to salvage our unrecognizable relationship. But the books are all liars. A broken mirror can never be made whole again. He would bring different women to the apartment he bought. No one waits forever in the same place. That was true for Ethan, and it was true for me. No amount of passion can survive being worn down by one disappointment after another. I curled up in bed, staring at the ceiling until dawn. I don't know what happened between them that night, and I don't want to know what else Luna told Ethan. Ethan didn't show up in front of me again, and I was glad for the peace and quiet. Chapter 7. The visit, I brought a bouquet of my mother's favorite flowers. I wanted to go see her. I walked softly along the cemetery path. The light of the setting sun cast dappled shadows across the serene grounds. In my hands, I held a bouquet of pale white lilies, her favorite. The flower beds in front of the gravestones were full of colorful blossoms, a silent tribute to the lives that had passed. I reached my mother's grave and gently wiped the dust from the headstone, as if the gesture could bring her closer. I laid down the lilies and stared at the name etched in the stone, a complex mix of emotions churning within me. Memories flickered through my mind like a film. The beautiful times we shared, her selfless love, the little moments of her life. I bent down, tidying the petals around the grave as if I were tending to her. I quietly told her about the little things happening in my life. When I got to Ethan, I paused. Mom, I think Ethan and I are really at the end of the road. Tears welled in my eyes. I tried to turn my grief into remembrance, smiling at the memory of my mother's warm smile. A breeze swept through the cemetery, lifting my hair. I felt a sense of calm and comfort, as if her spirit was still watching over me. Leaving the cemetery, my heart felt at peace. After all these tangled years, it was time for it to end. But before I left for good, I had to get back what was mine. Mom had always wanted me to live a long, happy, and peaceful life. Worried she wouldn't be there to see it, she had prepared a dowry for me long ago. We weren't wealthy, and most of our money went to her medical bills, but she still tried to give me the best she could. I could let the rest go, but I had to get back the pair of heirloom pendants. They held all of her hopes for me. I walked into Ethan's company building once again. Unsurprisingly, he was in a meeting. At least this time, I didn't run into the vexing Luna. I stopped the secretary who was about to make me tea and decided to go to the restroom to wash my face and get some air. Oh, Luna, honey, I'm telling you, you've got the looks, you've got the talent. You're so much better than that old woman. Mr. Smith will see how wonderful you are eventually. I paused. The voices were getting closer. I realized that old woman was me. Luna again. I sighed in frustration. It was impossible to avoid her. I decided to slip into a stall, purely to avoid the hassle of dealing with people like them. Don't say that, Luna's cloying voice replied. Mr. Smith is just looking out for me. He already has a wife. I rolled my eyes. That's not just looking out for you. That's spoiling you. Remember when you accidentally broke that heirloom pendant? He just frowned and asked if you were hurt. So sweet. I heard that pendant used to be really important to Mr. Smith. The colleague chattered on, interspersed with Luna's soft, feeble protests. My heart clenched. A pendant? It couldn't be what I was thinking, could it? I dug my nails into my palm. Calm down. When I stepped out, Luna and her colleague were gone. I walked straight back to Ethan's office and started rummaging through cabinets and drawers without a word. An assistant tried to gently dissuade me, but I ignored her. It wasn't until Ethan arrived and grabbed my wrist that I stopped. Serena, what's gotten into you now? I struggled to pull my arm free. The pendant, where's the pendant my mom gave you? For a split second, Ethan's expression was unnatural. The pendant, of course it's safe with me. Why are you suddenly throwing a fit about it? I looked at him, my heart sinking with disappointment. You never used to lie to me. Now, lies are all you have. The past. You have the nerve to talk to me about the past. Ethan growled under his breath. Yes, I have no right, I don't care. Where is my pendant? Did you let that thing Luna break it? A flash of surprise crossed Ethan's eyes, but he remained unmoved. It's just a pendant. It wasn't even that valuable. If you want one, I can buy you something much better. I stared at him in disbelief. Slap. I struck him across the face. Ethan's expression instantly darkened. Just then, Luna walked in and saw what happened. She gasped and rushed to Ethan's side. Mr. Smith, are you okay? Then she turned to me. Miss Miller, you can't just hit him, no matter what. I looked at the two of them, a self-mocking smile on my face as a piercing pain shot through my stomach. My face was pale as I looked at Ethan. I don't want it anymore. Ethan, I don't want anything anymore. A sense of panic flared in Ethan's heart, as if something was slipping through his fingers, something he could never get back. The pain made my whole body tremble. I forced myself to stand straight, intending to leave. Before I could even reach the door, my vision went black. I collapsed, and the last thing I saw before I fainted was Ethan rushing towards me like a madman to catch me. Serena, Chapter 8, The Argument. What do you mean? What do you mean you can't treat her? I have money. Please, doctor, I'm begging you, save her. Oh, cut the crap. Ethan, don't act like you're so devoted now. You're the reason Serena is in this state. My consciousness slowly returned. I frowned. The noise outside was so loud. As I became more aware, the physical pain came rushing back. I let out a soft groan. Serena, Vivian Jones, was the first to notice I was awake. She rushed to my bedside. Serena, how are you feeling? Any better? This is all my fault. I've been so busy traveling, I didn't come back to check on you. As she spoke, Vivian's eyes turned red. Don't worry, Serena. I'll find someone to cure you. Her voice was choked with emotion. I sighed. Vive, it's okay. I'm not in pain. It wasn't a brave front. I just didn't see the point anymore. Why go through all the trouble? I won't let you die. Ethan, who had been standing silently in the corner, suddenly spoke. Well, Mr. Smith, you certainly talk a big game, Vivian sneered, not hiding her disgust. I tugged on Vivian's sleeve and shook my head gently, signaling her to stop. Ethan, there's no need. Let's get a divorce. Ethan was momentarily speechless. What did you say? I said, let's get a divorce. The papers are already drafted and signed. They're in the drawer of the nightstand in the bedroom at home. My tone became more resolute with each word. Don't joke around, Serena, please. Let's just focus on getting you better, okay? There was a hint of pleading in his voice. No, Ethan, I'm serious. Let's get a divorce. I know my own body. I looked at him, the resolve in my eyes leaving no room for escape. His face turned deathly pale and his lips trembled, but he couldn't form a single word. I didn't understand. Shouldn't this be good news for him? He was finally free of me, free to give the girl he liked a proper title. Perhaps I had never really known him at all. But now, none of it mattered. I closed my eyes, unwilling to deal with Ethan any longer. Vivian promptly kicked him out of the room, bluntly telling him to get lost. I knew she must be tired from watching over me for so long, so I urged her to get some rest too, telling her I'd be fine for now. She argued but eventually gave in, looking back every few steps as she left. Lying alone in the hospital bed, I must have been truly exhausted because my consciousness quickly slipped back into sleep. I dreamed again of a long time ago, a time when there were no accidents, no interference, only purity. I met Ethan in high school. We were young, and our feelings were clear and beautiful. My vision blurred, and through the river of time, I glimpsed a sweetness that once belonged solely to Serena. I saw the younger Serena and Ethan. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, dappling their faces and adding a warm glow to their interactions. Their eyes met, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Her heart raced, a faint blush creeping up her cheeks, while his eyes held a hint of tenderness and curiosity. He gently took her hand. As their fingers intertwined, a current ran through her. She felt the warmth of his palm, a comforting and happy sensation. Their steps gradually fell into sync, as if an unspoken understanding had already blossomed between them. They found a quiet corner to sit, shoulder to shoulder, enjoying the rare moment of peace. She spoke softly of her dreams and worries, and he listened intently, interjecting with words of encouragement and understanding. His voice was deep and magnetic, each word a note that resonated in her heart. They laughed together, their laughter echoing in the air, a confirmation of their mutual understanding. His eyes were full of gentleness and care, making her feel a warmth she had never known. She returned his gaze with a smile that bloomed like a spring flower, beautiful and radiant. As I watched, my eyes grew moist. Later, with Ethan's dedicated help, we both got into the same university. We no longer had to hide our feelings. I was officially with Ethan. Ethan's financial situation wasn't great back then, but he always did his best to give me a better life. He would take on part-time jobs after class or during holidays and use the money he earned to buy me little gifts. They might not have been expensive, but they were filled with his love for me. Ethan would also cook for me at home. He would study different recipes, learn new cooking techniques, and try his best to make delicious meals for me. Unfortunately, not all love stories have a happy ending. Chapter 9. Waking up startled in the middle of the night, I woke with a jolt. My lips were still curved in a slight smile from the beautiful dream of the past, but my cheeks were wet with tears. Moonlight streamed through the window. Faintly, I could see a figure standing outside my hospital room door. My heart tightened. I crept to the window. I saw him. In the hospital corridor, Ethan was standing there alone. I had no idea how long he'd been there. How strange. You were the one who hated me, and now you're the one standing out there, alone and filled with remorse. But Ethan, I don't need it anymore. I don't want anything now. The love and warmth of the past have turned into indifference and distance. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts a swirling tide. The love and warmth of the past had turned into coldness and distance. I knew we could never go back. You weren't by my side when I needed you most. Now, I no longer need any of your concern or care. When I was young, I believed that love could conquer the long years, that our love was indestructible. But reality taught me how fragile it truly was. My facade was never impenetrable. If you had just paid a little attention, you would have seen my pale face. If you had just been a little more observant, you would have noticed the medicine I kept next to the vitamins. But you didn't. On every night that I was sick, you were with that girl, so you couldn't see it. You couldn't see my pain, my silent cries for help, my utter desolation. The truth is, there were always warning signs, but you never noticed. Or rather, you simply didn't care. I spent the next few days resting in the hospital. Vive came to take care of me whenever she had free time. Ethan visited often, but Vive always argued him into silence. Still, he wouldn't leave. I really didn't understand what he was trying to do. One day, as it happened, neither of them was there. The door to my room opened quietly and a figure slipped inside. It was a woman in a chic outfit, her eyes betraying a hint of arrogance and provocation. I lay in bed, my face a little pale. I looked at Luna, my eyes holding no anger, only a faint trace of sorrow. "What are you doing here?" My voice was calm and detached. Luna's face immediately took on a pitiful expression. She said softly, "I just wanted to see you. I heard you were sick and I was so worried." I chuckled, not believing a word of her act. I knew her real purpose. "Spare me the fake sympathy. You'd be better off spending your time getting Ethan to make an honest woman out of you. After all, you're still just the other woman, aren't you?" My voice was laced with a tired mockery. Luna's expression changed, but she quickly reverted to her pitiful act. "I really didn't mean anything by it. I just wanted to tell you that I'm pregnant," Luna said, her voice catching in a sob. My heart sank, but then, just as quickly, I felt a sense of release. I didn't let my emotions show. I knew that whether it was true or not, she was just here to hurt me. At the same time, I found it amusing. She didn't need to go to such lengths to torment me. I wouldn't stand in their way. None of it mattered to me anymore. "Oh," my voice was still calm. Luna's face turned ugly. She clearly hadn't expected me to be so composed. It would be a lie to say it didn't hurt at all, but mostly, I felt relief. There was no going back for Ethan and me. "Please leave. I don't want to see you again," I said, my voice firm and unwavering. I don't know what possessed Luna, but she suddenly lunged towards me. "Please, Miss Miller, I really love Mr. Smith. Luna, what are you doing?" Ethan had appeared at some point. He grabbed Luna and threw her aside. "Who let you come here?" Luna fell to the floor, still looking at Ethan with tear-filled eyes. "Mr. Smith, you told me you didn't love Serena, she stammered, her voice choked with tears. Ethan cut her off impatiently. "I asked you, who let you come here?" Luna glanced nervously at Ethan. I just heard Miss Miller was sick and wanted to visit. I didn't mean any harm." Ethan looked ready to explode. "That's enough," I said, feeling utterly exhausted. "Could you both please leave? I want to be alone." Ethan looked at me as if he wanted to say something, but I had already made it clear they were not welcome. His lips moved, but no words came out. In the end, he left with Luna. The moment the door closed, I let out a long sigh and relaxed. Chapter 10, Discharge. When I felt a bit better, I insisted on being discharged. I didn't want to waste my remaining time in a hospital. Vive couldn't change my mind, so she just fussed over me, packing my things. I was deeply moved. To have reached this point and still have someone so firmly on my side, caring for me. After a long time, I stepped back into my home, though it probably wouldn't be my home for much longer. I just wanted to grab some personal documents. I didn't expect Ethan to be there at this hour. Before, he was never home during the day and rarely even at night. I was surprised, but I didn't want any more trouble, so I walked past him and went into my room. Ethan just sat on the sofa, watching me, lost in thought. After I found what I needed, I went into the master bedroom, opened the drawer, and sure enough, the papers were untouched. I took the divorce agreement out again, placed it on the living room table, and said softly to Ethan, "Sign it soon. We're both tired of each other. My debt to you, over all these years, has been paid." I don't want anything." I turned to leave, but Ethan grabbed my wrist. "Serena, I was wrong. I was too obsessed with the fact that you abandoned me back then. Please stay. I truly know I was wrong. Luna means nothing to me. I never touched her, or any of the women all these years. I never had anyone else. I just wanted." The night was like a black veil draped over the city, quiet and mysterious. "Are you really leaving? Are you abandoning me?" Ethan's voice trembled, as if he was struggling to contain his emotions. I looked up, my gaze steady. Ethan, we should have reached this point long ago. We've just been avoiding it. Let's give each other some dignity. Ethan clenched his fists, trying to find the words to make me stay. I know why didn't you tell me sooner? Give me a chance. His eyes were full of sincerity and pleading. I just shook my head gently. I don't love you anymore. No amount of effort can change that. Besides, after all these years, you're not that poor kid anymore. If you had ever been willing to look back, was there anything you couldn't have found out? You just chose to believe what you'd always wanted to believe. Don't our good memories mean anything? Can't they make you stay? His voice was tinged with desperation. My eyes started to burn. We can't go back to the past. It's precisely because we have those memories that we should leave each other with something good to hold on to. Maybe you don't even care that much. You just don't want to admit that your years of revenge were wrong. You just feel guilty, and I don't need your pity. Ethan's eyes dimmed, but he didn't give up. I'll wait for you. I'll make you come back, he said softly as I walked away. A flicker of worry passed through me. I hoped he wouldn't do something stupid and create a scene where we both lost. I didn't look back. I didn't want to argue about the gains and losses of the past few years. The Ethan of today was not the person in my memories, and the one I had loved was the boy from our youth. It was a sunny afternoon, the campus filled with the energy of youth. Two young people sat in a corner of a classroom. Their eyes met by chance, hearts racing, faces flushing. They began to secretly watch each other, their gazes following the other's every move. After class, they would meet in the hallway, smiling and greeting each other. In those moments, the whole world felt beautiful. They walked together on the campus paths, shoulder to shoulder, feeling each other's warmth. They talked and laughed, sharing their joys and sorrows. They explored every corner of the campus together, discovering countless little beautiful details. In that wonderful time, they grew up together, experiencing many firsts. The first time holding hands, the first hug, the first kiss, each moment was as brilliant and beautiful as fireworks. They weathered the storms of youth together, facing the troubles of growing up. They supported and encouraged each other, becoming each other's strongest pillar. Back then, they were young and innocent, not fully understanding what love was, but that pure emotion was as warm and bright as the morning sun. It's just a pity that even the deepest young love can curdle into mutual resentment. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, dappling my face. I strolled along a park path, my heart heavy. The chaotic mess of my life had left me exhausted. I found a quiet bench by the lake and sat down, watching the ripples on the water as my thoughts drifted. Just then, a gentle voice spoke beside me. The scenery here is beautiful. It's a good place to lift one's spirits. I looked up to see a smiling man. His eyes were warm and sincere, giving off a kind and approachable feeling. Yes, it really is, I replied softly. He sat down beside me and introduced himself. My name is Leo Vance. It's nice to meet you. I politely returned his greeting. We started chatting. His words were like a spring breeze, warming my heart. He listened attentively as I talked. It was strange. I didn't know why I was confiding in a stranger. Perhaps it was because we were strangers, with no other ties, and we would never see each other again. He said, "Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." Of course, I didn't say that. It's a famous line from the Shawshank Redemption, he said with a wink. I couldn't help but smile. The distance between Leo and me shrank. We watched the beautiful sunset together, sharing our stories and dreams. His thoughtfulness and care made me feel a warmth and comfort I hadn't felt in a long time. As we parted, he smiled and said, "I hope you'll get out more often and enjoy the beauty of life. If you ever need someone to talk to or just some company, you can always find me." I looked at him gratefully, a warm feeling spreading through my chest. When we said goodbye, I thought our meeting was just a coincidence. I didn't take his parting words to heart, thinking they were just polite pleasantries. But my mood was significantly lighter. I really didn't expect to meet him again so soon. Chapter 11. The doctor after I was discharged, Vive insisted I not live alone and made me move in with her. I had no choice but to agree. For my sake, she even kicked her live-in boyfriend to the curb. I felt helpless and incredibly guilty. One day, she casually mentioned that her great-aunt's daughter's nephew's friend, a renowned psychologist, had just returned from studying abroad. She thought it might be good for me to meet him, just to make a new friend. I knew she was genuinely worried about me. Since leaving the hospital, I hadn't stopped taking my medication. While I wasn't afraid of dying, I didn't want to make the people who truly cared about me sad. She believed that a positive mindset was crucial. There were countless cases of people with late-stage cancer living for years because of a healthy attitude, just as there were countless cases of people with treatable conditions deteriorating because of despair. I agreed to see him. After all, it was my own body. I just never expected it would be Leo Vance. I sat in the psychologist's office, nervously fiddling with my fingers. Vive had recommended him, hoping he could help me with my recent emotional struggles. To be honest, I was doing fine. I didn't have many negative emotions. When the psychologist walked into the room, my heart skipped a beat. I immediately recognized him as the man I had met in the park. His eyes were warm and kind, putting me at ease in a way I couldn't explain. Leo smiled and sat down. "It's nice to see you again," he said softly. I was truly stunned. Sometimes you just have to believe in the mysterious ways of fate. "I remember our meeting in the park," he continued. "You seemed very troubled then, but I could also sense your inner strength." I looked at him gratefully, thankful for his comfort then and his understanding now. During our session, I gradually let my guard down and opened up to Leo, sharing my struggles and inner turmoil. With his professional knowledge and patient listening, he gave me positive feedback and advice. I have to say, Leo is a genuinely good person, gentle, patient, and easily able to earn others' trust. Before I left, I smiled and thanked him. He hesitated for a moment, then told me he had learned a little about my condition. "It's not entirely without options, but the current medical standards in this country—" He left the sentence unfinished, but I understood. I gave him a polite smile. Regardless of the outcome, I was grateful to him. Finally, he gave me his contact information and told me to call him anytime if I needed anything. I appreciated the gesture, even if I wasn't desperate to live. Chapter 12. A prayer for blessings. I hadn't seen Ethan in a long time. While I enjoyed the peace, the unresolved divorce papers were a nagging problem. "I was trying to make way for you, but you refused to take it." With nothing else to do, I decided to visit St. Jude's Sanctuary. It had been a while. I wanted to offer a prayer for the people who loved me and for myself. The last time I was here was years ago. I had prayed for my mother's recovery and for a long and happy life with Ethan. Today, I climbed the stone steps, each step a thought, and arrived at the ancient sanctuary with a devout heart. The moment I stepped inside, an atmosphere of tranquility and solemnity washed over me. Sunlight filtered through the trees, dappling the stone path as if guiding my way. I followed it to the main hall, where the scent of incense filled the air, creating a sense of the sacred. I knelt respectfully before the altar, closed my eyes, and silently prayed for myself. I prayed that in the days to come, I paused, smiling wryly. I started again. I prayed that my wishes would be granted. Next, I thought of Vive. We became friends in university, and I never imagined that in the end, she would be the only one truly there for me. She was my support and companion. I prayed for her, wishing her eternal happiness and success, that she would always feel warmth and love. I might not be around forever, so I hoped she would find help and support in times of trouble and overcome every obstacle. Then, my thoughts turned to the loved ones who had already left me. Though they were no longer in this world, they would live forever in my heart. I prayed for them, hoping they could rest in peace and find release in the next world, and that they could feel my love and how much I missed them. In the quiet of the sanctuary, my thoughts surged like a tide. I was immersed in blessings for my family and friends, feeling every detail of my prayers. I believed these wishes would reach the ones I cared for, no matter where they were. Afterward, I wandered through a long corridor hung with prayer ribbons. I patiently read them one by one, catching glimpses of others' happiness. Finally, in a familiar spot, I found my own ribbon from long ago, filled with all the feelings I had back then. May my Ethan be safe and successful, and may I always be in his future. Love is a strange thing. Some is unforgettable, while some has already turned to dust, scattered in the sea of people. With my own hands, I took down the ribbon that carried all my love and hopes for Ethan. In that moment, I truly let everything go. Ethan, I still wish you a safe and successful future, but this time I hope your future no longer includes me. As I left the sanctuary and walked down the steps along the forest path, my heart was exceptionally calm and light. I didn't expect to run into Luna. To be honest, I didn't hate her that much. On the contrary, I pitied her. She also seemed surprised to see me here. She paused for a moment, then walked towards me. "Miss Miller, what a coincidence. I came to pray for Mr. Smith and my child. Mr. Smith has been unwell lately." I found her words amusing. "Luna, you don't need to tell me any of this. Whatever happens between you two, I don't care, and it has nothing to do with me. I want him to divorce me more than you do. Instead of wasting your time playing mind games with me, why don't you go whisper in his ear?" I had no desire to continue dealing with her. I turned to leave, but suddenly my foot caught on something. I stumbled forward, instinctively raising my hands to shield my face, hoping the fall wouldn't be too bad. But I didn't fall. Instead, I landed in a warm embrace. "Are you okay, Serena?" The voice was gentle and familiar. I looked up, and sure enough, it was Leo Vance. I was about to say something. "What do you two think you're doing?" It was Ethan. I sighed in frustration. What was today? A reunion of everyone I'd rather not see. Ethan strode over and pulled Leo and me apart. I lost my balance, and Leo quickly reached out to steady me again. "Mr. Vance, isn't it a little inappropriate to be holding another man's wife?" Ethan's face was dark. "Mr. Smith, if you can't even protect your own wife." Leo's tone was gentle, but his words were sharp with sarcasm. "That's none of your concern, Mr. Vance." Ethan tried to pull me away, but I wrenched my arm free. "Ethan, we're already divorced." "I haven't agreed to it," Ethan cut me off. "Mr. Smith, perhaps you should check on your little lover." Leo suddenly shifted the focus to the silent Luna. Luna stood to the side, her eyes red and her expression pitiful. "What are you doing here?" "Serena, I have nothing to do with this woman," Ethan said, only just noticing Luna, though he paid her little mind. Hearing this, Luna's face went pale, and she swayed on her feet. "If I'm not mistaken, it was this, girl you don't acknowledge who pushed Miss Miller. I just happened to catch her." Leo continued his offensive, and I gave him a mental thumbs up. "No, I didn't, Mr. Smith, I just happened to run into Miss Miller and we were talking," Luna said, frantically trying to clear her name with a weak and fragile demeanor. "Didn't I warn you not to bother Serena?" Ethan's voice was icy. Luna was clearly flustered. She timidly reached for Ethan's arm, but he mercilessly shook her off. I was too tired to watch their drama. I whispered to Leo, "Please, just get me out of here." Leo nodded and carefully helped me down the mountain path. Ethan followed, trying to push Leo away. "Enough, Ethan, I gave you the divorce papers long ago. Can't we just part amicably?" I snapped, my patience gone. Ethan's voice became cautious. "Serena, about what happened back then, I know now. I was wrong. I misunderstood you." I cut him off. "Ethan, I really don't want to hear this right now. It's too late. All this time, you had so many years. In the past few years, if you had even once felt a flicker of doubt and investigated, I waited for so long, endured for so long. I don't want to anymore. I really don't need you." Ethan was speechless. Finally, I played my last card. "Ethan, do you want to watch me die in front of you? If you really want to make it up to me, sign the papers." Ethan froze, as if rooted to the spot. His lips parted and closed, but no words came out. I focused only on leaving, but I could feel Ethan's gaze on my back, like thorns. Once we were away from the sanctuary, I let out a long sigh. It was only then that I realized I was still clutching Leo's arm. I blushed and quickly let go, awkwardly tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "I'm so sorry, Dr. Vance. Thank you for your help. I'm sorry you had to see that. It's no trouble, Leo interrupted. Huh, I said it's no trouble. When it comes to you, nothing is ever a trouble, Leo said, looking at me earnestly. I went quiet. How was I supposed to respond to that? Thankfully, Leo didn't let the awkwardness linger. He offered to drive me home. I suggested we get dinner first, as a thank you for his help today, and he didn't refuse. We sat in a cozy little restaurant. I had wanted to take him somewhere fancier, but he insisted on this place. In truth, I liked it a lot too. I expressed my gratitude and apology to Leo, but he just smiled and said it was nothing. After a moment, he brought up his suggestion again. Sir, Miss Miller, I've been consulting with specialists about conditions like yours. It's not unheard of, and it's not an absolute death sentence. But I have to say, the medical resources in other countries are, in some ways, superior. If you're willing, I know some people. Your life is your own, isn't it? You don't have to throw the rest of it away for others. You have many people who care about you and love you. I looked down at the food in my bowl, saying nothing. Leo waited quietly. I need to sort things out here first. After thinking for a long time, I decided he was right. I should live for myself, and I didn't want Vive and the others to worry about me anymore. Leo let out a breath of relief. I can help you with that. I looked at his handsome face and felt a playful urge. Doctor, Vance, are you always this concerned about me? Leo looked at me directly. I meant what I said. Nothing about you is a small matter to me. I like it when you rely on me. He held my gaze. Can I call you Serena? Of course you can, I stammered, looking away. Who could handle that kind of intensity? Chapter 13. The note after dinner, Leo dropped me off at my apartment building. I went inside, exhausted from the day's events, and collapsed onto my bed, my mind racing with thoughts of going abroad. Even though Leo said he would arrange everything, I couldn't just let him do it all. I needed to carefully prepare the necessary documents and plan for my life overseas. Things were quiet on Ethan's end. A short while ago, I received the signed divorce papers from him. Tucked inside was a note. Can you give me a chance to start over, to pursue you again? Can we start again from zero? I didn't reply. I hoped he would give up soon and stop making things complicated. There wasn't much to prepare, really. I just wanted to sever all the messy ties. After the divorce, I finally felt a sense of relief. Vive was thrilled when she found out I was finally divorced. She originally wanted to come with me for my treatment abroad, but I managed to stop her. She reluctantly gave up, but not before giving me a long list of instructions. I felt a warmth in my heart. This is what it feels like to be cared for. In the end, she started probing about my relationship with Leo. No matter how I explained it, she just gave me an I get it look. I sighed in exasperation. At the airport, Vive was still chattering away. I agreed to everything she said. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw a familiar figure, but I didn't dwell on it and just smiled to myself. Before takeoff, I sent one last message to a certain number. Let me go and let yourself go too. Then I blocked and deleted the contact. When I landed, Leo was there, smiling as he took my luggage. He had left a bit earlier for some business of his own. With his help, I was quickly admitted to a hospital. I endured endless tests and treatments. Fortunately, Leo was with me through it all, which gave me great peace of mind. I felt like I was becoming more and more dependent on him. I once told him this jokingly, but he looked at me seriously and said, Serena, I want you to always depend on me. You don't have to pretend to be strong. I will always be here. My eyes welled up. Honestly, getting so sentimental all of a sudden. A year into my treatment abroad, Leo and I got together. I guess all the hardship in the first half of my life was just paving the way for the sweetness in the second half. Once my condition stabilized, we returned home. I took Leo to see my mother. I wanted to tell her, "Don't worry, Mom, your daughter is doing great now." One night, I received a call from an unknown number. The person on the other end was silent. Just as I was about to hang up, I heard a faint, muffled voice say, "Seeing you happy, that's not so bad after all." Then the line went dead. I smiled softly. I will be happy for the rest of my life. The end. Chapter 14. Epilogue 1. Ethan's perspective. My first encounter with Serena was a cliche, a love at first sight drama. It was a bright, sunny morning. I was walking along a campus path, my mind still on the exam I had just finished. Suddenly, a girl's figure entered my vision. Her long hair flowed in the gentle breeze like soft black silk. The sunlight bathed her in a warm glow, making her seem to sparkle. Her eyes were bright and clear, shining like stars. A faint, almost imperceptible smile played on her lips. In that moment, time stood still. The world became quiet and beautiful. I felt my heart race as if it would leap out of my chest. My face flushed, and my burning ears seemed to announce my shyness to the world. I tried to stay calm, but my fingers twisted together uncontrollably. I lowered my head, not daring to meet her gaze. Afraid she would notice my predicament, I quickly turned and hurried away. Back in the classroom, I couldn't calm down. I kept replaying the image of that girl in my mind. Her beauty and grace captivated me. From that day on, I started to watch her from afar. I discovered she was a smart, kind, and optimistic girl who always brought joy and warmth to those around her. Whenever I saw her, my mood would lift as if all my troubles were erased by her smile. I wanted to get closer to her, but I didn't dare disturb her. I could only watch her from a distance, hoping for a chance to talk to her one day. I knew it was likely a fruitless crush, but I was willing to quietly protect her, to pray for her happiness. I thought to myself, perhaps this is what youth is. That beautiful encounter would forever remain in the depths of my memory, the most wonderful moment of my life. I never expected that, by a twist of fate, I would help her when she was being pranked. From there, we met, we learned about each other, and we fell in love on the September campus. Sunlight filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. We had both gotten into the same university. We walked hand in hand along the campus paths, our hearts full of happiness. I quietly took her hand and led her to a quiet patch of grass. A blush rose on her cheeks. She knew what was coming and felt a nervous flutter in her heart. I've been waiting for the right moment to tell you this. I've liked you for a long time. We've been through so much together, and I've realized I can't live without you. Will you be my girlfriend? I looked into her eyes, my voice full of sincere emotion. Her eyes glistened. She nodded and whispered, "I will." I pulled her into my arms excitedly. Our heartbeats and breaths seemed to merge into one. In that moment, time stopped, and the world belonged only to us. The sunlight shone down on us, as if crowning our love with a beautiful halo. From then on, we would spend our university years together, chasing our dreams and building our future. After my confession, our faces were radiant with happiness. We walked hand in hand down the tree-lined paths of the campus, enjoying each other's company. In that moment, time seemed to stand still, and the world belonged only to us. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, illuminating our happiness and sweetness. A gentle breeze brushed our faces, carrying the scent of flowers, lifting our spirits. We found a quiet corner to sit. I gently put my arm around her shoulder, and she rested her head on my chest, listening to my heartbeat, feeling our shared warmth. We talked about our dreams and our future, sharing the little moments of our lives. In each other's eyes, we saw a beautiful vision for the future. In that wonderful moment, I felt like I had the whole world. I knew this was just the beginning of our happiness, with so much more to come. We spent our university years together, chasing our dreams and growing up. No matter what difficulties or challenges we faced, we supported each other and faced them together. That beautiful time became the most precious memory of my life. Whenever I think of that scene, a warm feeling fills my heart, reinforcing my belief in true love. I know that no matter how time passes, our love will always exist. Because on that patch of campus grass, we made an eternal promise, but I never expected her to break it. I can't remember exactly why it happened. My beloved grandmother had just passed away, and I was at my lowest point. I had wanted to hold her and seek comfort, but what I got was her merciless rejection. I didn't know why. All I knew was that overnight, everything changed. The person I loved had suddenly abandoned me. I was unwilling to accept it. I was angry. I wanted a reason. She told me she preferred men with money, that I couldn't give her what she wanted, that being with me meant a life of hardship. I couldn't believe it, but at that time, I was completely blinded by my pride. I just spat out a harsh threat, vowing to make her regret it. From then on, I worked desperately, earning money, climbing step by step to the top. I became the enviable Mr. Smith. I saw her again at a party. My company had just closed a deal with hers, and they were celebrating. I deliberately toasted her, who had been standing quietly in a corner. Everyone, including her, was shocked. But beyond the surprise, there was a hint of panic in her eyes. She carefully avoided my gaze. At that moment, I felt a sense of vindication. See, you never thought the poor boy you looked down on could achieve this, did you? But she seemed completely oblivious to my provocation, still paying me no mind. I was furious. Why? Why did you still refuse to acknowledge me? On impulse, I sought her out. I asked her, "Don't you like money? Marry me, I'll give you money. All you have to do is deal with my annoying relatives and be my shield. But you can't interfere in my private life." I childishly chose to insult her this way. "You like money, don't you? Fine. Let's see how long you can pretend, how long you can remain indifferent." Later, we got married. I can't admit how happy I was when I held our marriage certificate. After we married, I deliberately played the field, maintaining ambiguous relationships with other women to make her jealous. To make her see how wrong she had been. I thought it would make her care more about me, but I was wrong. She chose to ignore my behavior. I was deliberately intimate with other women to see her reaction. She was always so cold, it made me doubt if she ever cared about me at all. I wanted to know if she would get jealous, if she would show me more concern. When I would occasionally laugh and talk with some woman in front of her, I would watch her from the corner of my eye. Her face would seem a little pale, and a small part of me would feel a flicker of joy. But she never stormed over to yell or argue like I expected. She would just silently turn and walk away, giving me no reaction at all. I felt a surge of frustration, not just at her indifference, but at my own childish behavior. During our marriage, I deliberately distanced myself from her, staying out all the time, spreading rumors about the countless women in my life, hoping she would come to me. But she never did. I deliberately allowed the people in our circle to ridicule her, but she didn't care, which in turn made me feel pathetic. As for Luna, meeting her was a coincidence. I could see what she wanted from a mile away. In fact, all the women who had thrown themselves at me over the years were the same either for power or for status, things I just happened to have. Why was I special to Luna? I wasn't really. I was just tired of using a revolving door of women to test Serena. If I had to give a reason, it was that, in certain moments, she resembled the Serena from our school days, youthful and full of life. But I knew the difference. I knew a fake could never be real. I knew Luna was deliberately provoking her, but I still chose to side with Luna. Surprisingly, this time she seemed to show a reaction. Along with a sense of excitement, I also felt a flicker of panic, as if something was slipping away from me. That night, I was sitting in a bar, reflecting on our mutually destructive marriage. Unexpectedly, I received a call from the person I was longing for. She rarely called me. For any official matters, she would just send a text, regardless of whether I saw it. She called. She told me she wanted candy. In an instant, I was transported back to the beautiful days of our youth. Suddenly, I didn't want to hold on to the past anymore. I didn't care why she had abandoned me. I thought, maybe I should be the one to yield first. The moment I got the call, I left, searching several stores until I found her favorite caramels. Then I rushed home, unable to wait. Perhaps to seem less eager, I waited in the living room, my heart pounding with nervousness. But in the end, it was all just my wishful thinking. She once again slapped me in the face, making me look like a fool. And the joke was, I still thought about staying, even begging her not to make me leave. A one-sided wish with no happy ending. I stormed out and didn't go back. Later, I was surprised when she came to my office, rummaging through everything looking for some pendant. I knew what she was asking about. I had always kept the pendant her mother gave me safe, polishing it often. But I didn't want her to know how much I cared, so I deliberately avoided her question. Then she asked if Luna had broken it. I was confused. I vaguely remembered Luna breaking something small and unimportant, but I hadn't paid it any mind. I didn't tell her the truth. I just watched her panic, not knowing if I was punishing her or myself. Suddenly, she said she didn't want it anymore, didn't want anything. My heart dropped. I had a strong premonition that I was about to lose her. No, I couldn't let that happen. I reached for her, but she suddenly fainted. I lunged forward to catch her. The doctor said she had late-stage stomach cancer and berated me for not bringing her to the hospital sooner. The doctor said more, but I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't believe it. Late-stage stomach cancer. How is that possible? You must be lying, right? You have to be lying later. Her friend arrived, pushed me aside, and cursed me viciously. But I didn't care. My mind was consumed with her illness. I swore I would cure you, and then I would tell you I was wrong. Give me a chance. Can we start over? I watched over her for days. When she finally woke up, I rushed to her side, only for her to ask for a divorce. Impossible. I will never divorce you. I thought about so many things. I finally investigated what happened back then. It was only then that I learned her mother was terminally ill. How helpless she must have been. And I had believed her words, even thrown harsh threats at her. I wanted to find her, to tell her I truly, truly knew I was wrong. I knew how terribly wrong I had been. That day at the sanctuary, I was so happy to see her. But seeing her with another man made me burn with jealousy. I rushed over to confront them, to prove she was still mine. But his questions left me speechless. I wanted to tell that man that this was between me and Serena. What right did he have to interfere? But then I realized I was the one with the least right. I listened to her accusations, speechless. These were all my mistakes. I had wronged her. She begged me to let her go. I had no right to chase after her. Of course, I didn't forget about Luna. She was the one who almost hurt Serena. I would make her pay. When I had her sent away, she finally dropped the act and screamed her bitterness at me. In the end, she said this was all my own doing. And it was true. It was all my fault. I had so many chances to find out the truth, to ask, but I chose to cling to my ridiculous pride. Finally, I signed the divorce papers, but I still held onto a sliver of hope and left that note. Unsurprisingly, I received no reply. She was leaving the country. I went to that sanctuary several times to pray for her. I don't believe in gods, but I prayed sincerely, again and again, for her to be safe. After she left, I kept track of her news. I knew she endured treatment after treatment, and that man was always by her side. In a way, I was happy for her, even if I was no longer a part of her life. I thought about going to her countless times, but when I saw a photo of her holding hands with another man, I retreated. She was smiling so happily, in a way I had never seen before. No, that's not right. In the very beginning, during our school days, she used to smile like that, with pure happiness and contentment. But that smile was no longer for me. Later, she returned home. I resisted for a long time, but one night after drinking, I dialed that number I knew by heart. I said, "I wish you happiness, and I will be forever alone." That is my punishment. My punishment is to forever watch as she grows old with someone else. Chapter 15. Epilogue 2, Leo's perspective. Serena doesn't know that our meeting in the park wasn't the first time we met. I first saw her in the hallway of our high school. I was rushing to class, and she floated past me, a brilliant smile on her face like the morning sun in spring, instantly brightening my world. In that moment, time seemed to stand still, and my heart skipped a beat. I didn't know her name or her class, but I knew, from that one fleeting glance, that she had found a place in my heart. Whenever I saw her on campus, my heart would race. I would silently follow her from a distance, wanting her to notice me, but terrified of being discovered. I would look for her in the library she frequented, sitting not far from her, pretending to read while my eyes were always on her. Her smile would make my day, and her frown would make me worry. I quietly observed her likes and dislikes, trying to understand her better through these small details. I knew she liked the lattes from a certain coffee shop, so I would queue up early every day just to buy one for her, even though she never knew who it was from. I knew she liked to listen to John Mayer's songs, so I secretly practiced them, hoping to sing for her one day. However, I never found the courage to approach her, to talk to her, to tell her how I felt. I was afraid of rejection, afraid of losing the privilege of quietly loving her. So, I chose to bury this secret love deep in my heart, my most precious secret. I watched everything about her, so of course, I knew she had a boyfriend she was working hard with. I watched them go to school and leave together, watched them walk hand in hand on campus. My heart ached with pain and helplessness, but I still couldn't control my feelings for her. The years passed, and high school ended in the blink of an eye. They went to university in different cities, and I never saw her again. Yet, that secret love remained in my heart, the most beautiful memory of my youth. Whenever I thought of the girl who walked so lightly through the school corridors, a warm feeling would fill my heart. I knew I had no chance with her, but I was still willing to quietly watch over her until she found her own happiness. I knew my secret love for her would probably never have a happy ending, but I didn't regret it. Because in my heart, she would always be that beautiful girl, the most beautiful memory of my youth. But I never expected to meet her again under such circumstances. That day in the park, I recognized her immediately. She was much thinner, and her eyes held a weariness she couldn't hide. I knew she didn't remember me at all, so I pretended to be a kind stranger and went to comfort her. As I listened to her pain, my heart ached for her, but at the same time, I felt a secret joy. Maybe I was so happy to see her again. I thought maybe my chance had finally come. I learned about her marriage, about how that man had never treated her well. If I had known, I would never have stepped aside back then. Fate is a strange and wonderful thing. I never thought she would be the person a friend asked me to look after. I worked hard to make her comfortable with me, to get her used to my presence. I patiently guided her, helped her process her negative emotions. I urged her to go abroad with me. I believed in the medical standards there. At the very least, they could stabilize her condition. She hesitated, and I knew I couldn't rush things. I knew she was preparing for a divorce. I couldn't have been more pleased. That was a close call. I almost became the other man. Going to the sanctuary that day was a coincidence. I had heard it was a very spiritual place, and I wanted to pray for her safety and for a chance for myself. I didn't expect to see them. I saw that woman try to frame her, saw her about to fall. I didn't think twice. I rushed over and thank God I caught her. And in doing so, I caught my entire world. Seeing that man filled me with rage. You had her, yet you refused to treat her well. I mercilessly mocked those two. Their behavior was disgusting, unable to commit, yet unwilling to let go. You can't have it both ways in this world. She asked me to take her away. Ethan, you didn't cherish the person you had. Don't blame me for stepping in. I carefully helped her leave, away from those people. The air felt cleaner. At the dinner table, I brought up my idea again. I didn't want her to waste her life. Her remaining years should be long and happy. Fortunately, she seemed to have been persuaded. She finally agreed to leave, saying she needed to prepare. In truth, I had already arranged everything for her. From the moment we met again, from the moment I learned of her condition, I had been planning. This time, I wouldn't let go. I accompanied her to every treatment. It broke my heart to see her in pain, but I had to be strong. I did everything I could to make her comfortable, surprising her with little gifts and desserts to cheer her up. I never hid my affection for her, and slowly, she went from being shy to being used to my presence. Today is the happiest day of my life, because the woman I have loved for so long is finally with me. I hold her hand tightly, feeling its warmth as if time has stopped. Her eyes sparkle with love and tenderness, and I know in this moment she is mine. I still remember the first time we met. Her beauty and vitality captivated me. From that moment, I knew she was the one I would search for my entire life. But back then, she loved someone else. I could only quietly watch over her, watch her feel sad for someone else, laugh for someone else. But today, everything is different. I carefully planned a romantic confession, cautiously telling her my feelings. She smiled and said she would. I felt an immense happiness and contentment. I knew this was the moment I had been waiting for. I want to tell her that I will cherish her, love her, and make her happy for the rest of her life. I will walk with her through every stage of life, share her joys and sorrows, and be her shelter. We hold each other close. On this romantic night, I feel like the happiest person in the world. I finally have her. My love is no longer one-sided. It has been returned. I believe our future will be beautiful because we love and support each other. She says she is lucky to have met me in the second half of her life. No, I am the truly lucky one. After all this time, I still get to have you.